Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for your patience. We are having some technical difficulties, unfortunately, with our presenter, but she is here and we can hear her, which is awesome. So we are going to do an audio-only presentation, but we are super excited. I'm just going to give a couple more moments for folks to be totally admitted, and we will go ahead and get started.
Ready?
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Waterton Glacier Science and History Week 2023. This is our 20th year co-hosting this event. My name is Kylie Caesar. I'm the Science Communication Specialist at Glacier National Park, and I want to thank you all so much for joining us today as we hear about the latest results from scientific research and conservation efforts in Waterton Glacier International Peace Park. Our two parks have had quite a long history together. Waterton Glacier was designated as the first international peace park in 1932. And in 1995, our peace park was designated as a World Heritage Site in recognition of this area as an outstanding universal value to people throughout the world. And speaking of, we want to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Siksika Kootenai, the Salish, and Quilispay people, who we recognize as the original stewards of this land and all relatives within it. We very much honor with gratitude the people who have cared for this land throughout generations and very much continue to maintain enduring connections to their traditional territories. So this is the second day of a 4-day webinar series. Each day at noon, we bring you a new presentation highlighting current research related to Waterton Glacier International Peace Park. And just some logistics about this presentation. It'll last about 35 minutes with about 5-10 minutes at the end allotted for questions. And you can click the chat icon at the top of the screen to open the chat box, and you can type your questions at any time during the presentation. But also feel free to wait at the end for questions. And we will address as many questions as possible, and we'll drop some instructions in the chat to improve your presentation view as well as live captioning. So today we are super excited to feature the presentation on the Iinnii Initiative, Cultural Adaptations to the Blackfeet Buffalo Program, led by Termaine Edmo, who's the Climate Change Coordinator for Blackfeet Nation. And Termaine is an enrolled member of the Blackfeet Nation and the Shoshone-Bannock. She is a graduate of the Cutswood Immersion School and Blackfeet Community College, as well as a current student at the University of Montana. And she's been an active community member her entire life, and her traditional upbringing has led to her also becoming a cultural youth mentor. And she said that her career as a climate change coordinator has allowed some of the most valuable and sacred lessons to be shared to youth, and that these teachings that were passed on through what is now known as traditional ecological knowledge are still very much alive and well. And we are so excited to hear about some of these teaching and lessons today focused on the Iinnii Initiative. So please give a warm welcome to Termaine.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I am so sorry for the technical difficulties, but itamik skenatuni nistu anok awanaki nixis anasta a stanski kinstanasta bitawasta nistu nanamska ki sixtikiaki ki kinexumitak. Naa ki nixis and Tokyo. So good morning and welcome. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this amazing week that has been going on for 20 plus years. I just wanted to start by, really honoring our land. I wish you could see my presentation. But I do have a smudge right now. Whenever I begin a talk, I always like to do a smudge. So I have my smudge going with my sweetgrass, and I also have a sweet pine with my buffalo rocks here, my Inisciums. And so for me, Awanaki is my name. Awanaki is a rattle woman. So the rattle is the third object used in the beaver bundle. So from time immemorial, our people have been place-based people and have been put in this area to steward our landscape. So our creation stories go back in time and tell us that we were part of this land and we were put in this particular area to, again, be water protectors, water warriors, and again, to steward our natural grasses. And so our language and our culture are really what drives our people, but more importantly, what drives the whole ecology for us to systematically thrive together. So for as long as I can remember, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a traditional home and taught that all things are living. Everything has a spirit and everything has a purpose. And it wasn't until I was in social work and the social work field that I made that connection of the social justice, how we needed to be systematically whole at a federal and a policy level for everything to intertwine and work together. And we see that across the sectors today. And so with that, I really dedicated my time and into teaching, into bringing well-being and healing back into our large landscape recovery. And how we're doing that is by telling our stories. And by telling our stories, we are transcribing ceremonies, we're transcribing songs into natural practices. So in 2018, we launched the Blackfeet Climate Adaptation Plan. And with that plan, there was, in the plan, it features 8 sectors: agriculture, culture, fish, forestry, land, range, human health, and water. So of course, with all good things, we really took an approach to what was the Blackfeet Nation's priority. Of course, the culture sector, water, and human health were at the top. And so the water sector was the first implementation project we had, and that was the beaver mimicry project. Again, these beavers are, they're keystone species again, and they are one of our creation stories. And so for me, working with the youth, I actually got to transcribe these songs to them. So we had elders come out and actually gift them that traditional ecological knowledge that they needed to be successful in their project. Beaver mimicry has been going on for decades in the Northwest region, and the only thing the Piikani did was put the native spin on it again and bring honor and culture back into every one of our projects. So like I always like to say, we breathed the spirit back in, because we did. We taught about, we empowered our youth. We collaborated across sectors, and we actually implemented. We were the first tribes to implement the climate adaptation plan. So that was huge. And with that, we really kept the momentum of traditional ecological knowledge and knew the benefits of the restoration techniques that we were using. And so with that, we kept going. And so we tailored it with the next goal in the plan, which was the snow fencing. Again, so all of these practices come right from the Blackfeet Climate Adaptation Plan. And with that, that was when the Iinnii Initiative was really kicking off their Iinnii days. So that was really when the Iinnii program was really kicking off their Iinnii days. And so with that, I was a student at the Blackfeet Community College, and I led a traditional harvesting so we could practice our sovereign treaty rights down in Yellowstone, where 27 tribes participate within the Fort Laramie Treaty. And I wanted to give back this knowledge. So I grew up on a ranch. We grew up on kip ranching. Kip cattle has been one of the first cattle to be introduced into the state of Montana way back when. So it's part of my culture, part of my history. We've always been a ranching family. And so I knew the significance of what agriculture production meant to our people. And working with the buffalo, traditionally, I saw that need. I saw their need. I saw their unmet need. I saw the buffalo's unmet need and how we really needed to regenerate our land base, how we really needed to prepare for more space and for them to really heal our landscape and our natural ecosystems with just their movement. And so we began this student-led buffalo harvesting that really start trending, and really as the years went on, the Iinnii days just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's a 4-day event where you're just entwined with everything buffalo. So it's really, it really set the precedent for the historic Buffalo Treaty that was enacted with all the Great Northern and First Nation people in 2014. And so that, led by Dr. Leroy Littlebear, he was the one who really pushed this going because he saw the need of our landscape, and what was missing from that landscape was the buffalo, and what more importantly, what was missing from the buffalo was our ceremonies, our societies, our whole Piikani way of being. And so when we started the student led, we were brand new, really, learning step as we went. And now with that process, as the years went on, we now have a Indigenous framework that we are really using as best practices for drought mitigation, for soil mending, and really a place to naturally conserve our landscape, how the Piikani used to steward this land base. And so really putting that knowledge back into a plan, we decided to tailor it as one of our natural practices. So again, adopting the methods of traditional harvesting again and using it as a cow, right? Because that is how I had learned. I wasn't fortunate enough to learn off of a buffalo. So in my parents, I was fortunate to grow up with traditionalists in a traditional home, like I had said. And with that knowledge, we adapted to a cow because that is all we had at the time. And so now giving back is full circle because we are actually using these buffalo, no-till drill, and really, again, trying to use their natural movements to heal this land base. So we had the beaver mimicry, the snow fencing, the regenerative grazing, the traditional harvesting, and then our newest one from the climate change adaptation plan is prescribed burning. So now we're bringing fire back onto the landscape, how it used to be. And so I always like to tell a story how we, got our name as the Blackfeet and how the colonizers seen us doing 1,000-year-old practice of us following the drainages and actually moving the buffalo to where we needed them, and we did that with fire, and we left everything better than what we had found it. And we did that as a promise to the buffalo. We had this we had a buffalo treaty, right, as Piikani people, and our treaty and our offerings is what I teach in the traditional harvesting setting. And that is that reciprocity. It's that reciprocity of giving and taking, right? So we don't ever just take without giving back. And so in a traditional harvesting setting, you actually have these 1,000-year-old songs, these buffalo songs, these calling songs that we call them, these Inissikum songs that were given to us, again, to call these buffalo back. So when that buffalo offers itself, when we sing these songs, that buffalo comes out and he offers himself. I really wish you could see me right now. I'm kind of going through it with my hands, but so the buffalo offer themselves in a way of an agreement and a shared understanding that he is going to feed us and our community, and in turn we're going to steward this landscape, right? We're going to heal these grasses, so him and his family will, they'll have a feeding area for countless generations. And so really it's that reciprocity, because they had taught us respect, they taught us patience, humbleness, and really a lot of our societal ways of being, right? So they taught us grievance, they taught us community, they taught us society, and they really taught us how to be as human beings, and how we don't overkill, how we don't overgraze, right? And how we don't overtake anything that is not meant to be. So the buffalo had taught us a lot as Piikani people. And again, to see it come full circle is just, it's empowering, because we're in, again, we're bringing that culture and that hope and that promise back to our large landscape recovery. And we're doing that through story, and we're doing that through traditional practice. And it's beautiful to see all of the community come together. It's amazing to see our youth come out. I have at least harvest a month, if not just seasonal. So, and a lot of the meat is gifted right back to our community. So it goes right back into our school setting. It goes back into our elders. It goes back to our traditionalists. And again, it's just the whole, we're traditionally managing our herd using these techniques. And more importantly, we're giving them a better plate, right? We're really stewarding their landscape and healing them the way they need to, the way it should have been for a while. And there's challenges, and we learn from that. Like we learned about the recent release up in Chief Mountain. We know that drought has impacted us for over 30 years. We know that there's no food up there for them to graze. We know the benefits of just having them there, right? And we know how just their natural movement and action can really expose those seed heads that were gone from this landscape, and really getting our children, our youth out there, getting our people out there is healing, because I refuse to let this Blackfeet climate adaptation plan be another plan to sit on the shelf. I plan on implementing the entire plan and using traditional ecological knowledge at the forefront, right, and of climate change. And we can eliminate any of these keystone species, mainly the buffalo and the beaver, because they're our brothers who had taught us how to care for everything around us. So really implying that knowledge and implying that to our youth is how we are moving, and is how we are stewarding these natural practices. And we actually were just recognized. So I work with a nonprofit organization called Piikani Lodge Health Institute, led by Dr. Kim Paul. And I work in the agriculture sector, of course, implementing, again, partnering with PLHI to implement these practices. And right now we have our agriculture program where we enrolled 37 producers into our program at the Blackfeet Nation, because we see the need, and we see where these large land base holders are, and where our team needs to be, right? And how we learn from the landscape, and how we learn from those natural observations and natural stewarding techniques. And so we're really on a peer-to-peer, mentor-to-mentorship program where we're showcasing the practices, where we have demo sites, where we have workshops, and where we even incentivize our producers, because we know they can't be everywhere at once, and we see the need, we see their shortcomings. So we're really again trying to meet them where they're at, because 1.5 million acres is a lot to manage. We have over 114,000 acres of grasslands, over 51,000 acres of wetlands, and over 70,000 acres of, I forgot what I was going to talk. But yeah, so we have a lot to manage, and we are, again, seeing our shortcomings, seeing who we can partner with, and really using every challenge and every barrier we can to just to help learn. And we are learning from our mistakes, and we are making everything better for our producers. And it's been amazing to see our traditional ecological knowledge lead this plan. And it's just, you know, we've been impacted for so long, you know, and it's finally full circle, and it's finally showcasing, you know, what First Nation people are able to do just by, you know, honoring and caring for the land. And not only that, for, you know, we, like I said, we kind of look at everything as living, everything has a spirit, everything has a purpose and a belonging. And we're actually showcasing that now nationally, so everyone could do it, because we understand here, you know, we may be 85% tribally owned lands, but with that other 20, we, you know, 15, whatever, we are not, and we understand those shortcomings. So we offer to all non-native as well. So we can, again, still use these same techniques and these natural Piikani ways of knowing to steward this land base how it once was, right? Because that's how we're going to reach our neighbors. That's how we're going to continue to steward our traditional landscape, you know, because our reservation don't go all the way down to the Yellowstone River anymore. So we, you know, really getting flexible with partners. And like I said, we do these peer-to-peer mentorship programs where we're, you know, we were working in this summer, we had our interns doing an exchange, a regenerative grazing exchange with a couple down in Livingston in the Paradise Valley. And that was our traditional territory, you know, and for us just to make that connection was huge. And they loved what we were doing, and that's why they reached out, and they wanted to, you know, they wanted to be a part of it. And like I said, it's just, it's really full circle, and it's really gratifying work for me to teach our ways, you know, to be very open and have an open mindset, and really, you know, just being open to everything is where I think I like to call them the A team, but it's our ag team. And there's Kristen Kipp, Latrice Tatsy, Kristen Falcon, Andrew Berger, and myself. And we are the agriculture producer team. And we do outreach, we showcase these natural practices, we lead interns. And again, we work on how to have more sustainable measures for our buffalo, for our beaver, for our community, and for our land. And I think that is about it. I don't know if I talk too fast. I really wish you could see me right now. But yeah, did anybody have any questions? Did you need me to repeat anything, or?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Termaine, for that excellent presentation. If you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat, or you can also use the reactions menu to select the hand raise, and we can call on you and unmute you. In the chat, Rocket Durham asked, how does one get involved in helping?
Come on up. Come on up. We're always doing something amazing. We are right now working on our climate adaptation scenic trail with Blackfeet Community College. So we will, we will showcase some of these natural practices down at the community college's campus. But more importantly, we are creating a space for a corridor, right? So we natural crossing, so our students can get that firsthand nature-based learning.
Awesome. And then Avery Howe asked, do you have a way of tracking the buffalo now that they've been released?
No, and talking to producers, right? So that's again why we're really trying to create this, build this rapport of producers, is because they've been on the land the longest. They know their land. They know what, and so we're currently working on a climate adaptation story map where we're capturing these stories and seeing, really monitoring the changes throughout their time. So that should be coming soon.
Nice, that's exciting. And then I have a question too. You mentioned that you were one of the first tribes to develop a climate change plan. Do you coordinate also with other local tribes and regional tribes on those plans? And is that something that's becoming a little bit more typical for tribal communities to
So
develop?
we actually partnered with, we got started with Mike Durgalo at the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes in 2014. And him and my boss, Gerald Wagner, had went in on a joint grant, and they both split 125,000, and that's where the planning began for the Blackfeet Climate Adaptation Plan. And I actually came on as a climate warrior, researching the climate change impacts to water quality. And so that's kind of how I got my foot in the door and worked up.
Nice. Tina Zenzola says, thank you for this presentation. I've heard that some bison have been released that have access and could potentially migrate into the park. Could you please update on these efforts?
Yeah, so like I said, drought has impacted us. We know that they weren't going to stay up there. There's no food source. They're in what food source they have to fight for with the feral horses, and so we did relinquish a lot of our leasing out to outside cattle ranchers, just again to kind of regenerate, let our area rest, and we also put the buffalo into a secured guardianship area. So it's a really a unique international program with Glacier National Park and our Waterton Parks and the Blackfoot Confederacy. Again, so there was kind of like two separate entities, right? Where the buffalo that are in the park are kind of under the guardianship program, and the Iinnii Initiative herd is still tribally managed.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
Like I said, there was no food source, so of course they come running right back down to what they knew, and yeah, it's
awesome.
It's all trial and
Tabitha asks, how many producers are trying regenerative grazing and how widespread is it?
We're actually getting to a large scale, and we're about 14 producers are doing regenerative grazing, and 2 of those producers are actually bison producers. And so we are again working with what we have, and so it's kind of like it's almost like a adaptation menu, if you will, and it's kind of really what works best for their practices. So we're just bringing them the science, and the pilot scale projects and how they want to apply it is totally up to them. And so right now we have 15 producers doing regenerative grazing.
Nice.
I think all of them are doing beaver mimicry.
Nice, that's awesome. And then Rocket asks, what is the long-term or short-term plan to get buffalo around fences?
So we're actually trying to, again, do natural practices. So we're trying to do instinctive migratory grazing. So really, again, just, I don't want to say grooming them, but, kind of preparing them for transitional moves, and how, with salt blocks, and just, really keeping them, I guess I could just say domesticated.
And then there does seem to be a lot of interest in helping and getting involved within projects that you mentioned, is there a good way to contact you or to
Yes.
contact someone to get involved?
Yeah, so you can email me at beo.climate@gmail.com. Sorry, my website's kind of going through renovation. The only thing we had on there was the beaver mimicry. And so, of course, I want to highlight all of our other amazing projects that are going on so we can really, so I guess the world can really see where the Blackfeet Nation is with their plan. So we are being looked at by the state to kind of help in leading a action plan for the state of Montana. So the state currently does not have a action plan. They have a climate assessment that's almost outdated now in 2017. But we spoke on this many a times of how, you know, significant it is that we follow tribes' lead in doing this work. Like I said, the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes were the first tribes to start an action plan. The Blackfeet Nation was the first tribes to implement a action plan, and the Fort Belknap tribe has just recently launched their climate adaptation plan. So again, it's, you know, Great Northern tribes have been doing this work for years and thousands of generations, you know, and we've been doing just what we're doing now, where we've been learning and doing from our two-legged, our four-legged, our winged, and our fin brothers. And so really using our gifts and our ability to coexist, we are now healing this land and keeping the Blackfeet Nation for thousands and thousands more generations to come.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I appreciate your emphasis on the fact that you have been doing this for so long. It's just kind of putting it into these documents and these plans. Is there what are the largest differences between the assessment versus the action plan and some things that you're working on?
Well, like I said, the assessment's kind of outdated. So it was in 2017, the Montana Climate Assessment was done, and we use that specific for our region to really plan. And so I think doing, you know, having an updated assessment would really help us, you know, kind of key in on some of those areas. Like right now we're focused on water quality because, you know, we had some thermal fish kill levels, and we're really, again, monitoring how we can keep our waters pristine and keep being the protectors of the headwaters here.
Awesome. All right, any last questions? Feel free to type them in the chat. We also put your email in the chat as well so people can get in contact with you. And I'm seeing lots of applause as well. So thank you so much again for your presentation. Thank you all so much for all of the thoughtful questions. And unless there's any more, we are going to close the session now. But again, thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much to Termaine and our planning and tech team. Be sure to join us tomorrow at noon for a great presentation on the impact of wildfires on watersheds from Oldest Stillins, a forest hydrology professor at University of Alberta. And we are very much interested in your feedback on the webinar audio quality, so please feel free to share your comments or additional questions on this presentation with us, or you can also email us at crownrlc@nps.gov. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you all.